You're listening to 11 O'Clock Comics. This is Jason Mendelson and
Sean Mendelson. We produced the last 7 Peanut soundtracks. Peace.
And we were voices on Charlie Brown. I was Bremer Patty. Thanks very much.
Hello folks, welcome to 11 O'Clock Comics, episode 1012. Thank you for being with us tonight. I am one of your hosts. My name is David A. Price, and with me is...
Of course, I am Jack Grimm the 5th, and the 4th, and the 3rd, and Junior.
And maybe just good old Jack Grimm.
And the OG, that's right.
No, you are not... You are not the man who has a cave. You are none other than Jason Wood. Welcome. Great to see you, my friend. Always a good time. Nice little foreshadowing. We can definitely team up on that issue in a little bit. But first, before we get to the good stuff, we want to remind you all that this episode is brought to you by our good friends at cheapgraphicnovels.com. However, this week, at the start of the new release email, Max wants everybody to know that an unfortunate update for those of you who are interested in the direct market covers, the X-Men by Jerry Duggan omnibus, there are no direct market variants available for that book. About half of their shipment arrived damaged, and they're just barely able to fill the pre-orders. So this is a reminder to pre-order. However, if you're like me and you put your books on the bookshelf and only the spines are showing, you will be happy to know that there is no difference in the spine whether you have the regular cover or the direct market variant of the omnibus. So you can still get that as long as you store them with your spines out. But yes, every Marvel direct market cover will be unavailable at the distribution level prior to release. So again, pre-order as early as possible. That I don't know if that's specifically for the Marvel omnibus, but for now, just play it safe. And when you know that, check out cheapgraphicnovels.com. They have a coming soon section, and it goes far in advance because you can pre-order the George Perez New Teen Titans Artist Edition. You can pre-order the 2026 edition of the Crisis on Infinite Earths Absolute or Omnibus. The various Marvel omnibus, image books. Like there's just if check out the site. Go to the coming soon section and just go through the pages there. Pre-order so this way you'll know, and you don't have to worry about, it's not your traditional LCS or online ordering where whenever the previews drops and you have like that 3-month or it's 3 months before the books come out. Whenever these collections are solicited, if Max has it available for pre-order, go ahead and jump on that. And speaking of the new releases, this week we have a few for you, like DC Finest Wonder Woman, introducing Wonder Woman trade paperback for $23.99. This collection spotlights the origin of Wonder Woman, her arrival in man's world with wounded Steve Trevor, and her secret identity of Diana Prince. Explore Wonder Woman's heroic beginnings as she faces off against infamous villains such as Baroness von Gunther, a recurring villain during her early adventures, and loses her strength. Collects Wonder Woman numbers 1 through 4, All-Star Comics number 8, Sensation Comics numbers 1 through 18, and Comic Cavalcade numbers 1 and 2. Doom Patrol by Keith Giffen and Matthew Clark omnibus, hardcover for $59.99. In 2009, comics legend Keith Giffen teamed with artist Matthew Clark to breathe new life into DC's infamous band of misfit superheroes with one of the most impressive creative legacies in comics. The Doom Patrol, shunned by society because of their superpowers and freakish appearances, the members of Doom Patrol live a spiteful existence on the fringe of society, and it takes the brilliant Niles Calder, a mysterious genius, to mold them into true superheroes. These new adventures find the Doom Patrol encountering a long-time fan favorite alien, Njort, dealing with a black hole and facing off against a pan-dimensional wrecking crew. This omnibus also includes Giffen's work on 52 Aftermath, The Four Horsemen, and a Doom Patrol Superman team-up story illustrated by Giffen more than 20 years earlier in his career. Collects Doom Patrol numbers 1 through 22, Teen Titans from 2003, numbers 32, 34 through 37, Batman, The Brave and the Bold, number 8, Secret 6, numbers 3 and 4 and 30, 52 Aftermath, The Four Horsemen, numbers 1 through 6, and DC Comics Presents number 52. And finally, Lone Wolf and Cub Deluxe Edition, Volume 1, hardcover.
Oh, yeah.
$38.49. Had to do it. The acclaimed genre-defining samurai epic manga is presented in a new deluxe oversized hardcover edition and is now oriented in a right-to-left reading format as originally published in Japan. The groundbreaking samurai masterpiece of beauty, fury, and power, Ogami Ito, once the shogun's executioner, has fallen from grace after false accusations by a rival clan. With his wife murdered and with his 3-year-old son to protect, he chooses the path of the Ronin, the masterless samurai. Together, the Lone Wolf and his cub wander feudal Japan, but all roads will lead them to a single destination, vengeance. Collects Lone Wolf and Cub, Volumes 1, 2, and Stories from Volume 3. Those are your new releases for this week that we want to spotlight. Everything else you can find on the Slack if you're a patron, or, like I said, just head over to cheapgraphicnovels.com. I am drinking the wine that I did not have last week. As I said, this is Alamos. It's a Malbec from Mendoza, Argentina. And apparently it's the vineyards are at the foothills of the Andes Mountain, and the wines thrive in the intense mountain sunlight and pure snowmelt water of the Andes. And it is really, really good. They're not wrong with the hints of dark cherry and blackberry. So I'm enjoying this quite a bit.
Sounds lovely. I wish I was joining you. I unfortunately am not. I'm drinking some hot tea with lemon. So yeah, it's cold as a motherfucker out there. I just walked in the door from, as I told you before we started recording, my son's concert, and have a chill in my bones because the wife is insisting on keeping the temperature at an ungodly low temperature. And so I'm drinking tea.
What is what does she consider low?
In the winter, I consider she has it set for 70.
Oh wow, that is not low. Okay.
Oh, you think that? I think that's way too low.
I'm comfortable around in the winter, especially. But the condo holds on to heat really well, so we don't have to have it running nonstop, and we have it even if we leave the house and it's like 66 or 67, by the time we get home 8-9 hours later, it may be about 62 in the house. So I mean we're comfortable. I'm a little chilly right now. I upped it to about 66 when we came home tonight. But we usually have it off when we're sleeping because we're under the covers and we have the animals on us anyway.
Yeah, you are.
But yeah, I said the animals are on us. They say we were animals, and then you have. But no, I'll turn it on in the morning to get the chill out of the air. But yeah, no. But I mean, 70 in your place, it must take a while for the house to heat up, or at least to warm up.
I don't know, man. It feels cold. I think my bones, as I get older, just can't.
We are getting older too, yeah.
Yeah,
and I don't have all that fat to keep me warm anymore either.
You don't, you got to share with the peoples your glamour photo you took, your boudoir photo you took this past week.
I will. I'll share it on the Slack. It is now my profile pic on the Slack. But
Talk about spicy, man. Damn.
I'll post. It is not. Listen, they were offering headshots at the college, and they do it a couple times a year. And I figured, you know what, I've wanted to the image, the picture I've had attached to my work account with all my emails and Teams and everything like that is like from 2017, 2018. It's a photo that I had taken when we were at my cousin's wedding in the summer that year, and so I was due, and I figured, let me if homeboy, if Jackson's gonna do it all professional like, then why not? And I think I think it came out pretty good, but it took a second for me to realize that it was me, because I'm not used to having photos like that, just straight on, stand here, do a pose, and a professional photo like that. Normally, it's either usually selfies with the group or just a candid photo at a convention or when we're out and about with everybody. But yeah, something like that was a different experience. But I ain't mad at the picture, I'll tell you that.
It looks great, for real. All jokes aside, it looks really good. As do you.
Aw.
Before we jump in, I did also want to let the peoples know, because I know that there was a lot of excitement on the interwebs today. I did this morning post the first version of the annual best of meta list that I create for new listeners who don't know what I'm talking about. The last 4 or 5 years, I forget, but the last bunch of years, I have taken it upon myself to try and find as many of the best comics lists that are out there, at least lists I deem credible, from either writers or editors or sites that we know of and I know do good work, and then just compile them into one combined list with all the books. And if a book is named multiple times, it gets denoted as such, and then I force rank it by number of times it's mentioned in a list, and it just is a little snapshot of what people around the industry thought were the best books of the year. And I know I find that kind of thing really helpful, because even with our insane amount of reading and discussion and our community sharing things that they love too, there's still inevitably stuff that none of us ever think to read until you hear its praises. And so I generally speaking, January, I'm always ordering 15, 20 books that I had never even conceptualized until then, thanks to these lists. But and it also helps for people doing their 11 O'Clockers, which is the other point. The 11 O'Clockers ballot is up. Dap put it on the site. There's also links on the Facebook and the Slacks. But it's very simple. Remember, we switched up the format as of last year, and we're sticking with that simplified format. We used to ask you all to name up to 32 different individual categories, and some of you liked that, but a lot of you thought it was overwhelming. So we totally switched it up. Now all we ask is for you to give us your you don't need to have, but up to your 10 favorite comics of the year, and up to your 5 favorite creators of the year. And that's it. No more rules. You can pick manga, you can pick single issues, you can pick collections, you can pick runs, you can whatever you want, as long as feel free. It doesn't matter anymore. We take all of your votes and assemble them and discuss them, and then we present our own in January. And same thing with the creators. It can be an editor, it can be a colorist, it can be an inker, if there's such a thing anymore. It can be pencilers, it can be, I don't know what else. It could be who knows. It could be a let. You could do Hassan Atzmani Altu and do lettering.
Yes.
You could do anything. Just whatever floats your boat.
He letters all the books. The publication must have been released in 2025, correct?
Correct. Yeah, correct. Yes. Yes. Simplest terms is yes. If that's a good point. Like if the best thing you read was the Extinction Agenda omnibus, more power to you. Love it for you. But it has to be something that was new this year, new to us. So it could be, I say new to us because there are these days a lot of things that a lot of us read are imports comics. So if it's a comic that came out in Europe in the 1970s, but we're getting it here in the U.S. in an English edition this year, that counts, right? So it has to be published this year, and basically in its in some form. Like, if it was a mini series last year that got collected into a collected edition this year, and you didn't read it until then, that's fine too, right? Like it's in the old days we had more specific rules for each category, but this is really more come one, come all, and so yeah, there's very, very few restrictions as to what you can choose, as long as it actually was printed and put on shelves this calendar year.
Excellent.
Yes.
Yes.
So how was your week of reading comics? Did you enjoy yourself?
I the first thing I read.
Because I see what you read, and
Yeah.
I think at least one of
Like
these
what?
things I know you had to enjoy yourself because it was awesome. But the rest, I have no idea. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know. So
I started off my I the first thing I read this week was something that I had started. I talked about the first issue when it was released, and it's the only non-big two. It's the only image book I have on my list for this week, and I said on our side channel that this week had me beat, and I felt like I was coming down with something a couple days ago, so I was looking for comfort food. I just wanted something that was easy, no heavy lifting. I didn't want to have to really strain myself, and I was delving into just what I know I could read, talk about, and we could move on. But when I talked about the first issue of Blood and Thunder, and Vince had checked it out also, and I remember he basically he became an instant non-fan as soon as one of the aliens showed up early in the issue, because Homeboy's head is like completely upside down. His eyes are where his mouth is where his eyes are, blah blah blah. But I read the first volume, collecting the first 6 issues. So Blood and Thunder, The Prisoner on Cell Block X, or maybe it's 10, but it's way different than that first issue would have led me to believe. It reminds me a lot of Copperhead, which of course we know was drawn by Scott Lusky when it came out, which was a funky little Western set on an alien planet image book from a few years ago. But Blood and Thunder.
by a few years ago, you mean like a decade ago? But yes.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, really? Yeah, goddamn.
Yes, but yes.
Yeah, the pandemic really fucks it all up. Yeah, this is this is written by Benito Cereno, art by E.J. Su, Msassyk, Msassyk on colors. I think this is either a concept or at least was co-created with or by Kirkman, so it's a Skybound book. But yeah, our hero of the story, the main character, the heroine is Akaldama Bloodsoe, who is she's an alien. She was raised by humans. She's very human in appearance, except her hair is a very fiery red. Not like Firestorm or anything like that, but it looks as though like it's also kind of giving off flames as she's running or whenever she's active. It's almost like she's the witch from the Bugs Bunny cartoon, leaving the hairpins behind. It's just there's these little things flying about her head, but she's not a member of the police force. She's basically a bounty hunter. She's kind of a contractor, independent contractor. But this society, this where she's based out of, they don't know about books. They don't do books. Everything's digital, and the books are things of a past, and many people have never even seen any. So when she comes across some, she's not sure what the hell it is, and she borrows one from the captain's office because apparently it was a whole slew of contraband, and but the prisoner in the first issue escapes and just finds its way off the planet or off the meteor, the rock that they're all stationed on, and she's tasked with finding the prisoner and bringing him back, or it, and it ends up on a planet where there's a bunch of scientists. They've basically kind of the planet. It's not necessarily a backwater planet or anything like that, but the natives aren't. The natives are kind of not prehistoric, but close to it, and so it's the humans, the scientists, who have kind of it's very similar to whenever anybody else colonizes an area, and but the scientists are they're not concerned so much with any of the alien native folklore or stories. Everything has to be based in science, but there is kind of a boogeyman that was not only and all these scientists, they all have libraries, and one in particular has a secret library underneath his in similar to a bat cave where he's got his laboratory and a library where he keeps the more sensitive and treasured books, whereas the upstairs library in the great room that's nothing fancy, nothing special. Everybody can kind of browse through that. Don't worry about it. No first editions there. So this creature is breaking into these homes and looking for something, and it all seems it seems to always traipse through and ruffle about the libraries. And all these scientists have footmen or valets or butlers, and they're all the natives of this planet. And this boogeyman is basically attacking the natives, and not quite like a vampire, but there's a sac at the back of their head, the base of the skull, that holds this fluid, not quite blood, and that's what this boogie creature latches onto. So it's killing natives. It's looking for books, and the scientists are. This is almost like a subplot where the scientists are trying to figure out. One in particular is Dr. Richter. He's trying to get to the bottom of it. And unfortunately, when he and his group, there's a bunch of scientists, they all go out looking for this boogeyman, and things don't go well. And that's when the prisoner shows up on this planet as well. So all the doctors, the scientists, they run to the constable, and that's when the local constabulary introduces them to Akaldama, because she was sent there because that was a location for where the prisoner ended up. So while she's on the trail, she ends up there, and now she's talking to Dr. Richter and giving him the third degree, because he's treating her as if she is a less than, because she is an alien, and he's like, he's already got his preconceived notions. He's kind of a bigot, and it's just the way everything kind of just spirals from this first issue, and how we go from one issue to the next. And what I appreciate about this collection is that you're reading it straight through. There's no chapter breaks. You don't get it. You don't know when the page. You don't know when the issue ends, because the cover gallery is at the end. So you don't get chapter breaks. You don't get covers in between the issues in this collection. It's straight through. So I'm just reading it, going right through it, and I'm having a blast. And even the art, to a degree, reminds me of the early days of Godlewski and Copperhead. And because it's on this planet where the law gets involved, it was hitting those familiar notes for me. But yeah, I'm not going to go too deep and further into just to give you the gist of the first volume. But if you asked me what this book was about 6, 7, 8 issues in, and I only read the first issue, I'd have been way off in trying to explain it to anybody, and why I just passed on it after the first issue. But it's a wild ride as it starts, and she is the prisoner and Bledsoe. They have a conversation, and he's asking her, it's asking her, why do you know why you're chasing me? Do you even know my name? Do you know why they sent you after? And giving her a list of a bunch of questions that she doesn't have an answer to. And and all of what's great. The reason it's called Blood and Thunder is Thunder is the name of her gun. The police force all have basically sentient weapons, and Thunder is kind of is a bit of a pacifist, which is odd for a weapon since they only really have one purpose. But what's interesting about these weapons is that you can shove materia into it, and it will fire whatever is useful at the time. You can command it to fire certain rounds, but if it could stun, it could set off a rocket launcher. There's a wide variety of what the materia can produce, as long as the gun is fed, and it's fired everything at the prisoner, and it doesn't even phase it. So I don't know what could take this thing down, but it keeps telling her, stop following me. I will not be as kind as I am right now if we meet again. And she does not take no for an answer. So yeah, so she's about to she's gonna keep chasing the prisoner down. So yeah, so I got to find out what the hell happens in the next volume. But I'm pleasantly surprised. I had no idea it was actually going to be as fun as it is. So I'm glad I gave it another shot. But yeah, this was the one thing that I read just completely out of the blue. Just figured, let me give it a shot. Because after this, everything else on my list, like you said, with the exception of the thing that you read that we both know we enjoyed, everything was basically just all comfort zone material for me. It's big two stuff. Just because, like I said, I wasn't trying to do a lot of heavy lifting this week. I'm going to be off for a while, so I'll have plenty of time to read things I haven't gotten a chance to really dig into that I'm really looking forward to. So I was kind of just taking it easy this week. But yeah, I had to talk about Blood and Thunder because I'm glad I read it, and I don't know. I don't see a lot of chatter about it. Not that I always look out. I don't always go out to see who's talking up what books, but when I look at what some of the slackers are talking about, this isn't something that I see get mentioned too often. But yeah, I dug it.
Admittedly, one of the few Image books I'm not reading. So I mean, yeah, I don't know why. Well, let's tag, because we got one thing we can tag on, and I think it better fucking be the best thing you read this week. Because see, unless you're not sure this is not on your list. That's why I introduced myself the way I did. Absolute Batman number 15. Of course, a highly anticipated issue. I assume the cover, if it hasn't already sold, is going to sell for about $878,000 when Felix puts it up for sale. It is, of course, after being behind in the background for the first year plus of the series, we finally get the full-on introduction, history, and modern reveal of the absolute Joker. And first interesting note, not drawn by Nick. It's he gets the issue off, and it's drawn by Jock, who. Very different style than Nick, but I thought it's Jock, and he looked fucking great. I don't know what you thought, but I thought the issue itself looked great. I love Nick, obviously, but I thought Jock more than held his own.
He did, and I think as horrific as the body morphing of Bruce's friends were illustrated by Nick in the previous issues. During the whole battle with Bane, I'm okay with taking a break from Nick, because I don't know. I'm scared for how the Joker will look under his pen, but Jock equally frightening when
oh yeah,
the Joker appears as it's.
Joker, yeah.
It's wild. Oof. Yeah. But yeah. No. Go ahead. Lead it off.
Yeah. So I should preface this too by saying, I actually was I didn't realize actually until this week that I was a couple issues behind. So I read 13, 14, and 15 this week, and 13 is basically all about Absolute Catwoman. 14 is the culmination of the Bane arc. It's the big final battle, or at least final in quotes, between Bruce and Bane. And then this 15 is the start of the new arc, the Joker arc. A couple things. First of all, uh, good job with making Selena in this world super hot as well. Super hot. Um, I love that they, even though it is absolute and a lot of things are different, the fact that Bruce and Selena be fucking is not different. They still be fucking. So that's cool. I think it's interesting seeing her as like a voice of reason, and like Alfred being a maniac, like being like just pushing Bruce into making dumb decisions for the sake of the mission, whereas Selena's like, you really need to check yourself. This isn't going to end well for you. Um, Loved 14, issue 14. Absolutely loved. I've always hated, not hated. I've always disliked Bane. The character has never done anything for me. Not in the film version. The film versions, I didn't really care for the when Bane was first introduced. Never, just not the kind of character that really did much for me. But with that said, I think in this case, I really did enjoy um, what we've got going, and I think that the idea of how Bruce takes out Bane, I loved it. Like he he's no match for this Bane. I mean, this Bane is completely, well, I guess it's not completely different from the version that in the main DCU, but it's just amped up to like a thousand, right? Like this Bane, when he takes Venom, he can keep taking it, and he gets to be like crazy oversized, like a giant man or a Goliath. He gets to be basically the size of like a building, and just completely keeps morphing and morphing and morphing. Somewhere Bart Sears is smiling, and it's just it just basically almost becomes like body horror to the nth degree. And we've been led to believe through much of the arc that Bruce is going to fight fire with fire, right? Like he's going to use the Venom to battle Bane. And what Bruce doesn't know, or at least we're not sure he knows, the Arkham crew, including Dr. Arkham, are counting on this. They actually, as is Bane. Bane and everybody are counting on Bruce using the Venom, being able to Hulk out like Bane does with the Venom, and what Bane hopes is that will ultimately lead to him being left to retire and stop being the alpha experiment of Arkham, and Bruce will take his place. But I guess we find out that Bruce is not just all brains. He's got, I mean, all brute. He's actually got some brains. He realizes, because through the whole issue 13, Selena's begging him like, don't take the Venom. It's a bad idea. Like this is what they want you to do. And Bruce is basically telling her to go fuck herself. Like, I'm gonna do what I got to do. And we come to find out in the final arc issue in number 14, as Bane is beating him to death, and he's like, "Come on, take the Venom, take the Venom." Bruce heeded her. He heeded her warning, and he in fact did not take the Venom. He had his homie remove the Venom from his body, and they basically did the old okey doke where, just as Bane is begging Bruce to take the Venom to keep the fight going, as he's got him on the brink, Selena fires from her rifle the Venom in a bullet form into Bane and overloads him and explodes him. And I just thought that was brilliant. I really liked that. I thought it was a really, really smart way, because Bruce is this absolute Batman is so overpowered and barbaric and violent, and he's basically just a violence machine, cutting and slicing and dicing and just causing mayhem. And I love that ultimately they won through using their brains instead of that. So that was super cool. And then we get to this issue 15. I loved it. I know that these absolute books are wildly popular. I also understand that depending on your admiration for a given character set, you probably love or hate these books, right? Because they're not the characters that you grew up with. And for some of us that's awesome, but sometimes depending on what you think of a character and how much you love them, you could really dislike when they switch it up. And I don't know where this sits for a lot of Batman fans, but as someone who doesn't really view the Batman characters as sort of, you know, patron saints of my fandom, I'm fine with them switching things up. And I think what we learned about the Joker in this story was awesome. We have Alfred basically narrating to Bruce what he knows of the Joker family, what he think of the Grimm family, what he thinks he knows, and Bruce keeps pushing him like, stop telling me, stop beating around the bush. Like, what do you actually think? Like, what do you believe? And we first were presented with them as Jack Grimm is a little boy. He's essentially a clown in a circus, begging for, not in a circus, but on the streets, begging for money and whatnot. And he in the 1800s, and he parlays that into success as a performer, and then he becomes a successful vaudeville act, and then he parlays that into buying a theater, doing vaudeville shows, and so forth and so on. And then Alfred kind of chronicles how Jack Grimm begat Jack Grimm Jr., who builds off of that success and goes into film and cinema and makes a mint there, and then is a big philanthropist. And then Jack the Third gets into to television broadcasting and expands the family business even more and gets even more philanthropic and goes international. And then Jack Grimm the Fourth is again, so forth and so on. He takes over. He does cable news and the like, and it becomes basically the world's biggest philanthropist on top of that. And then the modern Joker, Jack Grimm the Fifth, is this near trillionaire. He's like an Elon Musk level industrial magnate who's invested in tons and tons of things, tech and the like, and he's basically he's basically one of the world's wealthiest, most successful industrialists, and all they know about him, aside from that, is that he owns thousands of little tiny islands all over the world, and they appear to be uninhabited. Radar doesn't really show them as having anything going on. It's just that he owns them, and occasionally he travels to one of them. And so the supposition is that he hunts at these places. And as Alfred is telling all of these tales, we're seeing Jock is rendering these scenes, and it's nice, like the stuff's like washed out, right? It looks like old school, like film and photos. It looks very much of the time that he's describing. But the cool thing is Bruce is pressing Alfred about, well, okay, that doesn't sound very daunting. Like why are you so scared of him? Like, what's the deal? And he keeps sort of tweaking, like layering in more what he actually believes is happening versus what the baseline history is. They go back to the same scenes and panels, and they're far more sinister, right? And I love that they did it that way, and I love that how Jock renders that. So, like, instead of the little kid performing on the street and having everybody loving him, we learn that he performs right in front of a dentist office, and there's laughing gas, the ether, and he leaks it into the alleyways to make people laugh and be susceptible to him, right? And then it goes from there, and you just learn that all these things are more and more insidious until we eventually get to the point where he explains, hey, I actually would think is happening is that they're not only the world's biggest philanthropists, but they're also the world's biggest crime family, and they've always gotten success by playing both sides and keeping the momentum going. And so he just morphs this whole Grimm family from this philanthropic, long legacy family that everybody's supposed to love and is all about bringing joy to the world and everything, into being this like really insidious criminal mastermind family. And then the pièce de résistance is then we get to the modern times where Jack is on an island, and he's encountered a guy who's been on the island for 30 years, basically living like survivor style. And we come to find out that as Alfred is explaining to Bruce that he thinks, in fact, that it's actually not 5 different generations. He believes that it's actually somehow one immortal being that just keeps reinventing themselves every generation. And as he's saying this, we see Jack Grimm transform grotesquely from a normal-looking dude into this, reptilian, dragon-like, deformed, clown-like killing monster. And he chases after the dude and on the island and kills him and eats him. It's pretty awesome, man. Like, I love it. I love how different it is from the Joker that we know. I think it's super duper smart. To me, of all the absolutes, I mean, Absolute Wonder Woman is my favorite, but I think in terms of the way that they're flipping the script versus the conventional stories, the idea of turning the Joker into the industrialist and having the cave and being serious, like that just really works for me. I love it because I'm pretty tired of the Joker, like standard Joker. Like I think he's way overplayed. So I was here for it, man. I thought Jock kicked ass. Thought he really was a perfect fill-in for this. And I'm here for Absolute Batman. I think the hype is well deserved. It's a great book, legitimately one of the better superhero books of the last 10 years. So I loved it. What did you think?
I did. I liked it a lot. I thought it the last page amused me because it is, like you said, it is flipping the script as far as what we're normally used to with Bruce Wayne and Alfred and the Batcave. This obviously, anybody who's been reading Absolute Batman knows that there is no Batcave. Bruce is not a multimillionaire. He does not have a Alfred Pennyworth is not his butler. But the whole, I thought as the story's playing out, as Alfred is telling Bruce the story, and then what he reports to his superiors and what he actually believes, I thought that was when the story first breaks out and he just talks about the different generations. I was like, okay, that's cool. And then it gets a little bit more sinister, and then we get the whole reveal of maybe though it was just it's always just been one person, and that's freaky enough. But then knowing that it's not inconceivable, considering Alfred's also explaining that you have the experiments with Arc M, and there's an orphanage involved, and maybe he's doing something with the children, with the babies, and concocting some kind of elixir out of their cells. And I'm like, okay, but had I not read anything prior to issue 15, but at the end of 14, when Bane is defeated and the Joker is explaining to Bane that, I know we promised you once you found your successor, you'd be able to be free, go live with your family. And I see how that's foolish, because you should not, obviously you're not free. You still have work to do. And the best thing to make sure this work goes as planned is to eliminate any distractions. And he drops fucking bombs on Bane's home island, and now no longer has a family. So when I think about how just dastardly and evil this motherfucker, who we've barely seen, is, because he had a couple lines in Absolute Evil, but he wasn't the main focus.
Yeah.
But between his actions and now with this issue drawn by Jock, this is freaky as hell, and it's played out extremely well. I think. I really didn't have any expectations, because I didn't know, because the whole idea behind the Absolute line for me is that it is flipping things around, and nothing is what it seems. Because even Harley makes an appearance in the previous issue, and she's just over there to help out Batman for a bit, and so nothing is what it seems. Forget about anything you're used to, and for this character to use the name of the Joker, and you already have ideas about what the Joker is, and even mainline Joker, as evil as he is with gassing people to death or just electrocuting anybody, like he has his ways, but this is monstrous. This is way beyond anything I'd be used to from the Joker. So kudos to Snyder for amping that up a bit. But I feel that and I know that we've talked about artists who kind of focus on a character in a panel, don't really do too much with backgrounds, just maybe a lot of pretty colors, and there is some of that here. But even with that, I think Jock was the perfect artist for this story because it's freaky and creepy as hell, and it's done really well, and I have no idea. I mean, we're beyond Batman just being like a street level vigilante taking on just random thugs and street level crime. He's entering a world or he has entered a world where the fantastic is believable, and now he has to fight. He has been, but now he's fighting literal monsters in comic book form.
Yeah.
But it's
and he's clearly souped up too. I mean, in some way.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
he knocks over. Like he's definitely like exactly. It's definitely escalating quickly in terms of the scale of the opponent for sure.
It's weird to say, but I think it's the issue I kind of needed after the Bane arc, after the whole Arkham stuff, and especially after seeing what happened with Bruce's friends, and it was a little bit of a breather. It was a single issue that basically just told you about the Joker, because the next issue we have our first Absolute Universe team up, but I just thought it was a really, really well done issue. Kudos to the creative team. It was,
and kudos to Snyder for basically playing into the whole QAnon stuff, right? Of having it imply that Grimm is immortal by basically using babies and creating a serum, which is QAnon adrenochrome come to life in a comic. So I found that very fun, titillatingly funny because obviously it's poking fun at the absurdity of all that. So so I really just incredible stuff. If people do take a look at my meta list, not surprisingly, Absolute Batman is we're pretty early in the I think I have nine or 10 lists combined at this point. We'll probably eventually get to 25, 30, but Absolute Batman is near the top of the list. Which I would expect it to continue to stay up there as the other lists start coming in.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. The other thing is that this tickled a little bit of nostalgia for me, because I'm most familiar with Jock from The Losers, the series that Andy Diggle wrote, which was also a pretty fun movie. But
it is actually another Chris Evans.
Chris Evans, Idris. We'll watch that from time to time. I get a big kick out of it. One of my most watched videos I always go back to on YouTube is when Chris Evans comes in and pretends he's a messenger and starts singing Journey. But so aside from the art reminding me of The Losers, it also reminded me of Green Arrow Year One, because Jock drew that Green Arrow origin story back in the day. And obviously it takes place on an island, so there's a lot of island work here. So yeah, it was a solid issue. I absolutely appreciate it, and yeah, even as the solicits told us with issue 16, Batman meets Wonder Woman. Even the last page says next issue Absolute Wonder Woman, but Alfred even mentions that in his journal he talks that he caught Bruce catching a newsreel of this woman from hell in Gateway City, and he's going to Diana because he's looking for a cure for whaling. He's looking for a cure for Killer Croc. So it's an interesting idea, I think, for a team up, instead of just someone just showing up, or they are two heroes meet and then they fight until there's a big misunderstanding and then they come to an agreement in it. So I'm kind of looking forward to the crossover, but but there was it's I'm as much as I say that I feel it's way too early for the merging or the I would have liked to have seen the All In and the Absolute lines stay separate for a little while longer, selfishly. But obviously things are coming together now with Darkseid coming back and so the lines are getting blurry and what's amusing is that part of the DCKO event in the second issue of Night Fight, which is written by Josh Williamson, beautifully illustrated by Dan Mora, of course. Triana Farrell on colors. There is in the first issue, as Vince was talking about, it was Bruce versus Dick because Dick Grayson is now Batman in this universe, in this world, in this future. He has an army of Robins, but that's what the Heart of Apocalypse was showing Bruce. So once he fights that vision off, he ends up in a different reality where Jason Todd is now Batman, and Jason Todd believes that this isn't Bruce Wayne because Bruce is dead. This is Clayface. So he has him in Arkham, and he's all in a cage. And there's a line where when Jason shows up and says it's time for your treatment, Batman looks up at him and he goes, "Jason?" And he goes, "No, Jason's dead. Call me Batman." And all Batman's saying is that this isn't real. And so Jason's like, "Well, which lie is it this time?" And one of the realities, so he says, So which reality are you saying you're from? You were trapped in the dark multiverse. You had the powers of Superman. You held the Green Lantern ring. My favorite one, you were buff and carried a big axe. So they're doing this. They're playing around, letting us all know that it is just one big connected universe. But the second issue was,
which for the record, I hate, absolutely hate. For the record, I absolutely detest that. But yes, you're correct. They are alluding to it.
Yeah, and I do wish I do wish we could keep it separate for a little while longer. But yeah, it's at least they know, and they're upfront about it. But yeah, so the second issue was apparently Gotham is basically one giant Arkham. The Joker launched. He released a massive amount of gas. They evacuated the city, but this dome covering Gotham keeps the radiation from the gas, keeps it trapped. And Jason stayed behind to keep the place safe and keep other people out. Because there's been no crime in like 20 years. But so all this. So I mean, Night Fight is basically because in the early issue of DCKO, Batman was killed or he was eliminated. He was taken out of the tournament. So because he's not in the tournament with the rest of the heroes and villains, he gets his own little side quest in a separate miniseries, so he can still be part of it. But it's not. Yeah, absolutely. So, it's so now. So yeah. So the third issue will kick off with Batman versus Red Hood Batman. And apparently he's going to he's fully accepting that if this is the reality, I'm supposed to be Clayface, then it looks like he's going to be Clayface, which is kind of weird, but we'll see what the third issue holds. But this was a week of some pretty interesting panels and throwaway lines that may not have been throwaway lines in round one of DCKO, which is a one shot. Round one is Superman versus Captain Atom, and I wasn't back in the 80s post crisis when DC did buy acquired the Charlton characters, and we got that awesome Blue Beetle series by Len Wein and Paris Cullins. But there was a Captain Atom series written by Cary Bates with art by Pat Broderick. And I enjoyed that Captain Atom book for a while. But I haven't really been a fan of Captain Atom in recent years. It's just, there's too many other cool characters, I feel. So I'm not really too worried about Captain Atom these days. But this issue written by Joshua Williamson, art by Sean Azaski, with colors by Trish Mulvihill and Hi-Fi. And the idea behind the I guess this all fight month is it's best of three, and so in this particular battle, this fight is Superman and Captain Atom, like I said, and so the first arena, the first battleground, is Metropolis, and Captain Atom wins because he produces red sun energy and kryptonite to take Superman down, and then he ends up draining Superman's power, and so that's the first knockout. So round one goes to Captain Atom. Round two, you're able to pick your form, so it can be from any version of any multiverse, any version of your past realities, anything you may be aware of. And so I had it. You see a bunch of old images of Captain Atom in the background, and so Captain Atom chooses, and I had to laugh because he chooses Monarch, and the caption says, "In some realities, I was the Monarch, a god who can control time and space." The joke there is for anybody who's not old enough to know this. When Armageddon 2001 was released, it was a summer line. It was a summer event going across all the annuals, all the heroes. Wave Rider would come in contact with any hero that month, and he wanted to see if this particular person is going to grow up, is going to become Monarch. And obviously, when you have a character like Batman or Superman, who have multiple books, therefore multiple annuals, you're not going to just have one singular possible future. So we get to see different versions in some books. But we knew, the readers picked up way early, like almost not quite immediately, but close to the start of the event, that Monarch is Captain Atom. And DC lost their shit because they're like, this ruined it. If everybody knows who it's going to be, like how can we tell the rest of this story now? It's going to fall flat. So DC swerved everybody and made Hank Hawk Monarch, which was bullshit because there was no story in any of this event that gave any indication that Hawk, after losing his brother and then getting another dove, would somehow snap and become Monarch. So the fact that they actually say Captain Atom was Monarch in some realities made my day, because that's actually who it's supposed to be. So kudos to Williamson for pulling that out. Round two goes to Superman. I'm not going to spoil round three, but yeah, this was just one of those things where there's a lot of there was some fourth wall breaking. Not that they were talking to the readers, but they were manipulating the panels on the page. They were kind of having fun with it, and they're aware of past realities and versions of characters and things like that. So it was fine. I read it. I got a chuckle out of it. There were some things that I appreciated, but yeah, if you're going to, if the idea of DCKO is to either replace Darkseid or put Darkseid back or put things back the way they were. And you're going to have Superman and Captain Atom fight. And one of these characters has the potential to become the new Darkseid or at least win the tournament. I don't think it's going to be Captain Atom. So you kind of knew going in how this was going to end. So I had fun with it because I got to read a Superman book and I got to see Captain Atom, who I haven't read in a story in a minute. So, I mean, that was fine.
Bro, hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on. I didn't read this one, but I did read the Wonder Woman Lobo one.
Yep.
And just what you're saying with this one, I mean, you know, if there's some magical contest of champions of 16 characters and the one's going to end up being the champion who's fighting Darkseid and stopping the end of the world, it ain't going to be fucking Lobo, right? And so it's like, okay, like, so same thing there. I was like, okay, well, I mean, I know who's winning this, but I guess it's about the journey.
Yes.
I fucking fell out of my seat with gagging reflexes when they said it was the best 2 out of 3, and in the second fucking battle, they take the forms that they take. On what fucking planet that all of you that bought this issue because you love Lobo did you want to see him fucking
I hated that
into the fucking skinny emo fucking Lobo?
What the fucking emo goth Lobo in?
I mean, come on, dude. And like, why would he even know? I just don't. I don't get it, Dap. This feels crazy to me. It feels like this is a book meant for the generation under us who have grown up playing these fighting games and you know, and so much of the games are about the skins that you wear and that you can have the same have characters different from different. I don't know. I was like, oh my, like I can't listen. I grew up with Secret Wars and Contest of Champions, so I'm not saying there wasn't a time where I thought this was fun, but 50-year-old me read this and thought, I'm supposed to believe that Darkseid's return, which you've been building for years now, is supposed to be like the Omega level extinction event of this version of the DCU. And you're fucking solving it by having a Fugazi contest with a rando group of 16 people. And it's like they battle to the death, quote unquote, 2 out of 3 times, but they're not really like it. The whole thing felt like so video game-ish. I was like,
yeah,
I thought when they announced KO, it was just going to be like a 5th week, like little fun thing they're going to do on the side that has no meaning. The fact that it's like the lead into the next big event is baffling.
And it's months long. Yeah.
It is. Yeah. But I am bewildered to no end over it. And I only read the Lobo Wonder Woman because I know you love Lobo, and I saw it on the list and thought, let me see what this is about. I personally will be reading absolutely none of anything else that comes of this. I have no intention. I'm already upset because I've been really enjoying the Aquaman series, and I see that this latest issue that I have not read is a KO tie-in. So I may just stop reading Aquaman. I want no part of this. I mean, listen, it's gonna be fucking. I mean, it's gonna be Superman, right? Like Superman's gonna fucking win and then beat Darkseid, right? Like, isn't that the whole point of this? Like,
it's
like,
got to be. If it's
is there
not
any
Superman,
mystery?
I mean, Batman kind of already was during Grant Morrison's time, so I don't think it could be Batman.
Yeah.
But yeah, unless it's gonna be Booster, yeah, I don't see it being. It pretty much, and that could be another. That could be another okie doke. That could just be another. Well, it looks like it might be Superman because who else could it be? And it's going to end up being fucking Snapper Carr. I don't. It's. I just. Yeah. I don't. I know the Superman books are tying into it. The ongoing Superman title, and yeah, it bums me out a bit because it's interrupting Aquaman because it's round 3. So it's Aquaman versus Hawkman. So it's Hawkman guesting in Aquaman's book. Is Hawkman really?
Aquaman better whoop Hawkman's fucking ass.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, for real, dude.
So you can't guest star in my man's book and then beat him. So I just, and the whole idea that like, so the KO it's 2 out of 3. It's a fight to the death, but you're not really dead. Like it's hard for me to accept the stakes because you're
it's legit video games. You literally die and then you're the next.
And you regenerate.
It's like okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
you respawn, and now you're here again. I kind of
How do you think? How do you think they treated your main man? Because obviously you got strong love for Lobo. How do you think Lobo was? I know you groaned with the round two, but I'm saying like
Oh, for
outside
sure.
of round two, did you like the way they presented him? Did you think it was like
I thought the Lobo aspects of the issue, like the whole over the top with the ring announcer and it's the main male and the that was very Lobo centric. I was fine for that, but it for me it's a bit beneath Wonder Woman. I I don't know. I thought round one was fine. Yeah, round two was, even though he tried to make light of it and they cut his arm off and it grew back with the whole chain and everything like that. He tried to, but since Wonder Woman had her sisters with her, of course he's going to be the pretty boy because I'm going to try to woo the women. I should have known I wasn't going to completely love this issue because, and no shade, I think she's a fine writer for, especially when it comes to Wonder Woman.
not.
I'm trying to be polite.
She's a fantastic artist.
She is an amazing artist. She's a
a
wonderful
stunning
artist.
artist.
If she had drew this issue, I'd have been all about it.
That's what I'm saying. Yes.
But I don't. I'm not sure why Joelle Jones was asked to write this issue,
Precisely.
or if she asked to write this issue. I don't know why either exists,
right.
but yeah, it wasn't. Things were just kind of off, especially on some things with Lobo. But yeah, I just and even, and it was weird because even the Carrie Nord pages for round three didn't feel a whole lot like Carrie Nord. I liked it, but it was different than some of the Carrie Nord I've seen in the past. But yeah, I read this one because it's Lobo. But yeah, I wasn't. I was so hoping for something different.
For sure.
So now I need you to pick me up.
Well, yeah. Listen, I mean, they can't all be bangers, Dap. You know what I mean? Like they can't
Sure
all be
that.
bangers. Couple things. So there, I read a bunch of cool shit. One thing I'll quickly mention because based on the packaging, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be heat." I was like super gonna be into it. Thought I would be, and then I read it and well, I attempted to read it and was like, "I have no fucking idea what this book is about," and I'm out. So and that is Dance Gavin Dance. It's a collection that just came out by I believe Fantagraphics. Oh no, it's not. It's that Z2. It's the that online publisher Z2.
Oh yeah.
There's the packaging. I thought, oh, it's gonna be great. It's a square bound hardcover with really cool art on both sides and no words like on either. It's just all illustrations. And I knew going in it was a collection of two stories because it's the subtitle is Night of the Fruit Mafia / Dance of the Robot, right? And then there was a little like when you first get the book, there's a paper sort of like wrapper around the center, almost like a belt or something, and it says on there that what the book is with the subtitles, and then it says presented in flip book form. And I thought, oh, cool, a flip book, like that's fun, like a hardcover flip book, like that's really fun. And I honestly can't tell you like. I don't remember why I pre-ordered this. Like I must have just I don't remember the solicit. It's Z2, so it's not like a publisher like Fanta or Drawn Quarterly who I just would have trusted. So I'm not quite sure what made me pre-order this. But this is in fact two different stories drawn by two different artists, completely different vibes. When I tell you I had no idea what was going on, I mean I literally had no idea what was going on. I started with the and I don't know if you were supposed to start one side or the other, but I opened up whatever side was open. I opened it up and it was the Night of the Fruit Mafia story. Okay, and I start reading it and I like I said I read it and I'm like I don't know what's going on, so I flipped it over, turned it completely different visual style. It was the Dance of the Robot, and I'm I'm trying to read that, and it's like, okay, I understand this even less. It's like sci-fi, there's robots, but I don't know what's going on. So I was totally mystified, thinking, well, this was a total whiff on my part. Why the fuck did I even pre this? So then I look into it. So I had no idea. Dance Gavin Dance is a band,
Yes.
like a real life band. Oh, I had
Yep.
no idea. I had no idea. They're a post-hardcore band. I'd literally never heard of them. I presume from this, based on this, I would not like their. And so I'm reading about it, and it says that they're heavily rooted in surreal psychedelic lore that they've created around themselves related to the band. It's tied to the artwork on their album releases, their stories, their songs. Like it's all part of their whole vibe, right? And I'm like, okay. And that these are projects that they've undertaken to flesh out their universe and create stories around some of the characters and ideas that are in a lot of their music. Cool. But I got no fucking clue. No fucking clue about any of it. It meant nothing to me. I completely, the most inaccessible comic I've read in years for me, because I clearly am not I was clearly not the intended audience for this. Still absolutely not sure why I pre-ordered it. I presume I must have been on a gummy, and I was filling out my previews and looking to bulk it up because it was a light month, and my mistake. Again, no shade to the book. Let me be clear. Like, the book may be awesome. It's just not a book meant for me. It was not a book that meant anything to me. But moving on. Yeah, like I said, that was a fucking mystery. But where we're getting to the good. Going back to Fantagraphics, because Fantagraphics rarely does me wrong. I was going to say never does me wrong. That's not quite true, but rarely does me wrong. We just received the second volume of the Fantagraphics Milo Manara Signature Edition. This is a new line that Fantagraphics is doing. What it basically is, like they're describing it a little differently, but what it basically is the non-porn comics that Milo Manara did in his career. Because like we're all very familiar with Manara for things like Click, right, and like all of the erotica stuff that he's done. It's all amazing, and anybody that hasn't read it, you should read it. It's like he's one of the kings of erotica comics. It's great, but he also has had many non-erotica works that he's done that haven't gotten as much of a U.S. release. So Fanta has taken it upon them to do that, and the first title that they released was Caravaggio. They released it in 2 volumes. There was the Palette and the Sword, and then the Palette, and then book 2. I can't remember the name of book 2 offhand, but that that was really interesting and good, and it was set as you might guess by the name. It's loosely based around the life of Caravaggio, the painter, but done in a Manara way. That was cool. It was cool. I liked it. I didn't love it, right? But it was cool. But this is the next thing, and it's called The Magnificent Adventure. Some of this, as I understand it, like some of the chapters actually appeared in the U.S. in different forms many moons ago, but never in complete did we get the complete series. And so this is the complete series. And rest in peace, it actually was translated by Kim Thompson. Nice. The late great Kim Thompson. So what this is this book, I believe, the version was originally released in the late 1970s, like 1978, 1979. And it's I think the original name of the story was The Magnificent Adventure: The Adventures of P. and Giuseppe Berkman. And what it's super cool to read this in 2025. But I think if you're going to read it, you need to read it with the understanding at all times that this was written in the late 1970s. Because I think if you read it now just for what it is, and I'll get into this, I think the power of it is lost a bit, and I'll explain what I mean by that. So we're introduced at the start of the book to this very handsome gentleman named Giuseppe Bergman. He's young. I'd say he's like in his mid to late 20s, and he's despite the fact that he's in an apartment with an absolutely drop dead gorgeous Manara woman, right? Like for those of, as most of you know, I'm sure Milo Manara is one of the all-time greats at rendering beautiful women. He's known for that. All of his women look like long-legged runway models. They're all generally also prone to getting naked of their own designs and love sex. So Giuseppe happens to be cohabitating with one of such women, but he's still unhappy. He's like, he berates her and he tells her that he wants more out of life. And he's very excited because he has answered through an ad in a newspaper. He has been chosen to be part of the great adventure. And he can't wait to go and start his great adventure. And she's crying and she's like, what are you going to do? You're never going to come back. Like, what is this? And he's basically like giving her a fuck off and saying, well, I'm going to do it because I need to do me. And so he goes and he meets with the gentleman, his liaison, and it's a guy named HP. Grumpy old dude, like grizzled dude, right? Kind of taking him through the paces of what he's about to embark upon. Well, HP is actually an analog for Hugo Pratt, the great creator of Corto Maltese, who is, as some may know, was Milo Manara's good friend and mentor. He's basically what he taught Manara how to be a cartoonist. So he puts HP in the book, which leads me to think that Bergman himself, the main character, Giuseppe Bergman, may in fact be an analog of Milo Manara. I don't know what Milo Manara looked like as a young man. I don't know, but I get the strong sense that this was a satire where he basically made himself the main character back then. And he meets with HP and essentially says, listen, you've signed up for this. We're going to put you onto an incredible journey. All expenses paid, and what we're going to do is what we ask is that the adventure you go on, make it as grand as possible, because we're going to make our money by letting our participants and clients follow along with you. Now remember, this is late 1970s, so Giuseppe's like, well, how are you gonna how are you gonna follow along with my adventures? And HP's like, don't you worry about that. That's not for you to worry about. You just go on the adventure. And basically from there, he's sent to meet up with the person that's going to help him frame what his adventure is going to be. Right? He's like, you're going to meet with this person, and you're going to figure out what adventure you want to go on, and then we'll set it up. Now, you can probably already guess where this goes. That's not actually what happens. What happens is he walks out the door to go and meet this dude, and the adventure begins. He's had no say in it. The adventure just starts. And he goes on this grand adventure that eventually takes him to the Amazon jungle, to the Orinoco River. And he keeps waiting for his adventure to start, where he gets to be the hero and the swashbuckler and bag the ladies and be adored by other men. And none of that ever gets to happen, because he is basically the butt of all of these things that go wrong. He's beaten, embarrassed, cucked, nearly killed, just, defeated at every turn, but yet he keeps progressing through the journey, right? But like barely, almost like a Keystone Cop style. Like he's not through his own volition. He's kind of failing up. And that's what the book is essentially about, until he eventually ends up at an Amazon Indian tribe, like native tribe village, where he takes psychedelics like peyote and goes on a big trip and so forth and so on. But what's super cool about this, right, is that this is Manara telling a story about reality TV in a satirical way long before reality TV existed. And that's why I say that if you read this today without that context as you're reading it, it may feel flat, because it just basically today it reads like a dude goes on a reality show and things go wrong, and it's like entertaining in the context of watching things go wrong. But like, you're like, oh, okay, like he went on a reality show, got it. But remember, in 1978, that concept didn't exist. That was fucking totally out there. This idea that you could have experiences in the real world that were completely staged around you and you wouldn't know. Like, that was completely anathema to the way the world worked back then. And so if you read it with that context, I think this seems a lot more profound, and the satire feels a lot more powerful, because then you realize like how far ahead Milo was as a critic of society, and he saw where we were going in terms of our egos and our self-obsession and the dangers of that, and he pretty much predicted what the world would be like 45 years later, and so from that, I loved that, and I think it's really well timed that Fantagraphics brings this over at this point for that reason. I also, again, think everybody in the book looks beautiful or handsome because it's Manara. Much like the Caravaggio, this is a sexy book. There's titillation, there is some nudity, but it's not a sex book. In fact, and I think about, I don't think anybody has sex in the book. There's some like sort of implied like flirting and sexual innuendo, but I don't believe there's any sex at all. I think it's just more titillation. Um, but it was an absolute blast, man, and like it was trippy in all the right ways. Manara is such an incredible draftsman that the jungle feels alive. I mean, he has run-ins with pumas and anacondas and alligators, and it's just every bit of failure and harrowing experience is just rendered in like near perfect lifelike way. It's and it goes a mile a minute, man. Like it gets started, a couple pages in, he just jumps into the adventure, and it doesn't end until you close the page of the book. Reading this, and this is a byproduct of the age I am. This reminded me a lot of a comic book psychedelic adaptation, or not adaptation, but maybe precursor or inspiration for the game. Do you remember the game, David Fincher,
Yeah.
1997?
Yeah. Michael
Yeah,
Douglas. Yeah.
this was
The
like
Last of Us.
yeah, Michael. This is like Michael Douglas. The game is basically like a modern like city, like Metropolis version of this, right? Where like he gets picked to do a game. He knows he's about to go on a game, a real life adventure, but then suddenly like he gets pulled in, like he doesn't realize he's in the game and everything's going horribly wrong until he thinks he's going to die, and then at the end it's like surprise, it was just a game after all. Sean Penn, his brother, like put him up for it, and that's kind of what this is like. Like he goes on this adventure, he keeps waiting for the adventure to start, not realizing he's in the adventure, and then finally at the end, after he's tripping balls and nearly dies, they're all like, "Surprise! Like this is your adventure. Like thanks for participating. I hope you had a great experience." Like I just thought it was wonderful. Again, I think it's as a standalone read, it's entertaining and fun and sexy and beautifully drawn and worth your time. But if you can, as you're reading it, conceptualize how forward thinking this satire was at the time and how incredibly perceptive Milo was as a young man, seeing what the world would become, you really got to tip your cap to him, because he saw the fucking vapid, self-obsessed world that we are now long before, even the producers figured they could make money doing this stuff. So I know a lot of people like talk about the Truman Show as one of the early times of like, yes, but this was 20 years before the Truman Show, 25 years before the Truman Show. So kudos to Manara. Loved it. So once again, it's called The Magnificent Adventure. If you enjoy it, and I think you will, there is a second volume coming in, I believe, April of 2026. The Magnificent African Adventure, which was the sequel to this back in the, I believe, early 80s. So, yeah, super cool stuff.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I will say, real quick, just because I see a few other things on your list that I want to hear about, but I read the second issue of the Infernal Hulk, written by Phillip
yeah, you're all on
Johnson.
that too.
Say what?
I said you're all up in that too, the PKJ, yeah.
Yeah. Well, because I read the first issue, because I'm way behind on the previous volume that led into this, and I know Vince was talking about it, and so same creative team, Phillip Kennedy Johnson, Nick Klein on art, although the last 2 pages in issue 2 were nicely drawn by Kev Walker, colors by Matthew Wilson. The Hulk is basically infernal now, and he somewhat possessed, and is not connected to Bruce Banner. They are separate entities again. But he is the Hulk is gathering an army of monsters, and there's a he's reestablished the sanctuary in the Appalachian Mountains, and he's looking for other monsters, other brethren in the sea and in the sky. So this issue, we get an appearance by Namor, and it's a pretty quick issue. Hulk heads down to Atlantis, and he awakens or frees Ngothel, and it's this monstrous sea creature with multiple limbs and like lobster claws. So the Atlanteans can't take on this creature, but Hulk can, but Hulk awakened it because because Hulk wants to reclaim the oceans. Just do what you got to do. But we can basically, Hulk didn't wake the creature to fight, but he fought to make the creature stronger, and he does, and he reminds him, go reclaim the oceans, gather the Ikthari, and send them far and wide, and together we will take back all the Earth, so the creature
So when you
swims
say wait,
away.
what do you mean? What do you mean by what do you mean by like what when you say Hulk wants to take back the oceans? What do you mean he wants to like be the king of the oceans? Like
He
what does that mean?
the Hulk is now, since I didn't read the end of the previous volume. The gist is the Banner and Hulk have been ripped apart. Hulk's body is now the vessel of Eldest, imbued with the corruptive power of the Great Old Ones.
Oh, okay. All right.
So yeah, so Hulk isn't the Hulk we're used to see, and he's got this massive scar
Oh,
going
okay.
from his forehead down his chest. So yeah, he's basically on a mission now, collecting monsters and creatures, and basically wants to, looks like he wants to just eradicate humankind, and so the Avengers gave Namor a heads up, and Winter Soldier and then Laura, Wolverine, and Black Widow, they're on a monitor screen, and they're all like, letting Namor know this is serious. Hulk is on his way, and he's not really the Hulk we're used to seeing. Because Namor's scoffing, and he's all like, "Bro, like scarcely one season past, he was our ally, and now we're what? We're going to destroy him." So Namor's like, yeah, I'm bored with this. But then Hulk shows up, frees the creature. The Atlanteans freak out. Hulk does his thing, and so the creature swims away. And then Namor tries to talk to Hulk afterwards, and he's like, I didn't think that was possible. You took care of Nagathel, the God Eater. And Namor's like, yeah, I guess the Avengers were wrong about you. If you weren't here, my city would have been. And before he could even finish it, Hulk just grabs him by the neck, and he's just like, yeah, I sent Nagathel away because your deaths don't interest me. But when they do, you'll see me again. And then he swims away. But Namor's like, yeah, we it looks like the Avengers were right then. So we have to we got to find Banner before Hulk returns. And then we cut to Muncie, Indiana, and there's a party, a happy birthday. There's a birthday party for someone who looks like they work at a I'm not sure what kind of establishment this is. It says Healthy Garden, so I don't know if it's, and they're all wearing name tags, but they're all wearing like business casual outfits. So I don't know what kind of environment this is, but we see Heather and David. They're David's the one taking photos of everybody, and the birthday lady, the birthday girl, she's saying you guys gotta come in and get in on these photos. We don't have you in a single one. And Heather's like, no, it's fine. David's David likes taking photos, and I'm too busy stuffing my face with cake, so no one wants to see me in a picture. But then they're watching the news, and they see that this creature has in Gothel has been spotted in the Atlantic Ocean off the coast. And Heather's like, oh, well, David and I, we stay out of the loop. We don't really watch the news all that much. And when David's trying to get everybody back into the party, from all this time, we're only seeing the back of David's head. And he's just like, no, come on, this is a party. Let's get down. Don't watch the news. It's depressing, blah, blah, blah. And Heather's like, oh, we better listen to David. He has quite the temper. And they're like, oh, not this guy. And David's like, no, she's teasing, but I was a little bit of a hothead back in the day. And then this guy says, come on, David, let it out. Leave us a proper rage out. And David says, sorry, Ricky, not a chance. And then we see David's face, and it's obviously Bruce Banner. And he says, I'm afraid you wouldn't like me if I did. And I was like, oh, snap, we're going back to the old TV show. So now the next issue says, whatever happened to Dr. Bruce Banner. So David so Bruce and Betty are incognito, pretending to be other people, while the Hulk is doing whatever the hell the Hulk wants to do right now. So this was just one of those things where I'm just like, it was a quick issue. There were Klein drew a lot of double page spreads. The majority of the issue took place underwater in Atlantis, where Hulk was
he knows
doing
where
his
his bread's
thing.
buttered.
Yes, pretty much. So yeah, So because of that, because of the action, because of and because these are massively large creatures, it did feel like it read kind of quick, but it still moved the story along for what Hulk is trying to do, whatever his mission is, and PKJ is telling a pretty funky story. Like I said, I now just want to go back and finish the previous volume that Vince was reading, just so I can be all caught up. And I know Klein didn't draw every issue of that, but I do believe the art was also complimentary, even on the issues he wasn't part of. But yeah, it was a fun distraction.
Respect. Yeah, respect it. The best thing I read this week, is and it's so nice to see, by the way, to see our friends Magnetic bringing me something, because Magnetic was, for a few years there, Magnetic was every month or two we'd be talking about a Magnetic book.
Yep.
Banger after banger, and then because life's and Diamond goes bankrupt and the world changes, Magnetic's output is nowhere near what it used to be. So, but this was nice to see, and I hope it portends a resurgence, because I've always thought that the publisher has done an amazing job bringing us imported comics of really high quality. And this is more of that, par for the course. The book is called The Dragons of Paris. And it unlike a lot of imports, this is a relatively modern adaptation. This book actually came out in Europe just a year before, so they were quick on the draw here this time, which I think is great. It's written by a writer who's new to me, Joann Sfar, Sfar, but the art is certainly not new to me, nor you, nor Vince, nor many of our listeners. Art by Tony Sandoval. Love Tony's work, and much of Tony's work has been brought over to our shores through Magnetic, so they must have a good relationship. The premise is a lot of fun. It's essentially early 1900s Paris, France, and we do start the book with a flash with a prelude, which shows a knight fighting a dragon and kind of talking about how it created this eternal conflict between those two archetypes. But most of the book takes place, like I said, in the early 1900s, and in this world now. Effectively, we haven't seen dragons in a long time, centuries, in fact, and life's just kind of lifing. But we come to quickly find out that the reason we haven't seen dragons is because there is a pact where every so often, I don't know if they said how long, they must have, but I don't remember. They need to sacrifice an immortal being to like the king of the dragons to keep them at bay and basically keep dragons from coming back. And you know, a group of hooded dark wizards are doing what they do in the sewers or the catacombs of Paris, getting ready to sacrifice a siren, you know, a a sea, you know, a female looking sea creature, often mistaken for mermaids by sailors, but in fact is a siren who, you know, lures them to the rocks with their songs, you know, that kind of vibe, a siren. So they're about to sacrifice a very cute siren to her death to appease the dragons. But it just so happens, like completely coincidentally, mind you, that there is a Maori adventurer, a Maori, aka Hawaiian princess, like Samoan descent princess, who straight out of Moana, by the way. Kudos to these guys for like, let's, you know, being like, damn, Moana's so hot. Let's put a Moana character. But her name is Princess Kopoakea. And she, despite being Maori, she has somehow found her way to Paris. And she's an adventurer. She's getting into barroom brawls. She's, you know, she's just basically a badass. And she's kind of just like wandering around, like living her life. And after she beats the hell out of some people in a bar and shows how tough she is, dude approaches her and is like, "Hey, I got a job for you." And Princess Kopiake is like, "Well, word up, what's the job?" He's like, I can bring you to basically, I mean, I forget what he calls it, but it's basically a whorehouse, you know, basically like a prostitution den. And he's like, you know, there's always men looking for women like you, really strong, you know, strong, forceful women that you'd be a real turn on. And I'm expecting her to like punch dude in the face and be like, "Get that out of my face." But she's like, "I ain't got shit to do. Let's do it." So they roll to this brothel, which completely puts me on my ass because I'm thinking this book from the cover and the opening setting, I'm thinking it's just going to be like a high fantasy book about dragons, right? Like I'm like, okay. So all of a sudden I got this like, you know, Hawaiian Princess Moana type beating ass in a bar and then getting taken to a brothel. And this is like a freaky deaky brothel. Like there's vampire chicks, there's zombie chicks, there's, you know, all kind of like witches. Like there's all. It's like for freak leaks. Like dudes who want to, you know, get like a, you know, the term getting some strange. You want to really get some strange, right? So Princess Kopake is like, yeah, I'm not about this like prostitution life, but this is fun vibe. Like I'm here for it. Like I'm a performer. You know, she has a ukulele. She's like, I'll perform. So she performs at the brothel. People like her work. Whatever, makes a few shekels. You know, things are going fine. It's like just a wild night. Part of her like just life of adventure. But then shit goes a little tits up, no pun intended, because the siren in question here that's going to get sacrificed is from the brothel. And I guess she's ill. She's ill in the brothel, and so the brothel's like, you know what? I think she's going to die, so let's just sell her to the wizards so they can kill her, and like they need a sacrifice. It'll all work out for everybody. And like Princess Kopake is like, wait, what? You're going to do what? Like, no, like I'm not letting you like sacrifice this poor girl just for like, that's crazy talk. But they're like, nah, you don't understand. They're trying to explain to her the prophecy. Like they're trying to explain to her how like, nah, it's like it's all, she's gonna die anyway. This would be perfect because like she's gonna die anyways. But then we're gonna reset the clock. It'll be all good. But Copa Chaos, she's having none of it, you know. And so basically, just as the wizards are about to kill the siren, you know, she storms in and she's like, nah, I'm not having it. Beats the hell out of the wizards, rescues the siren, right? And nurses the siren back to health, mind you. So the siren comes back to health, and per mythological lore, the siren explains like, well, you know, like my whole thing, because the princess is like, I don't know what you are, and she's like, well, I'm, because she's like, are you a mermaid? She's like, no, I'm not a mermaid, I'm a siren. She's like, my whole thing is like, I'm people find me sexually attractive, like that's my power, like that's my power. She's like, animals, you know, any living creature that comes near me wants to fuck me. Like that's why that's my existence in life, and that's my natural defense. She's like, and then frankly, if I don't find thing that's attracted to me interesting, I eat them. That's how I live. And like the princess is like, oh shit, and she's like, but don't worry, like I find you interesting, like you intrigue me, like we're good, you know. And then she's like, and then like sometimes I can like have sex to help like quench my thirst in the meantime. So all of a sudden, like Siren's about it. Like she wants to sapphic it up with Princess Copa and like like there's like vibes there and stuff. But like as they're kind of like flirting, getting ready to like do their business, suddenly things start to go crazy because the sacrifice doesn't happen. Ergo, the spell, these multi-century spell that's kept the dragons at bay is now broken. And suddenly all of the gargoyles sitting atop these old Gothic buildings start shattering. I know somewhere right now Caleb's smiling. And inside these statues, it's not statues. Inside these are these ancient little dragons. And then, sure enough, there's even bigger dragons who have been asleep and underground and in the catacombs, and they start coming to life. And essentially, it's like hell is unleashed because after centuries, all of these dragons are back because they didn't sacrifice somebody. And so the Siren, Princess Copa, and then a couple other characters basically form a ragtag group of adventurers who have to very quickly try and put the genie back in the bottle. The other people involved are there's a funny looking monk, little Franciscan monk named Mabalon, and he too is immortal. He was basically made immortal to be the safety valve for should this ever happen, and he's been essentially in like cryo sleep or like in some kind of magical slumber inside of the church in Paris, inside of Notre Dame, and then gets magically awoken to sort of help fight the fight when this all happens. And then there's an old woman at Notre Dame's kind of caretaker maid woman, and it turns out she's not in fact an old woman. She's the guardian. She's in human form, but she is actually a dragon. She turns into a dragon, and so this dragon, the Mabalon, the priest, the Siren, who I don't think we ever learn her name. She's just the Siren, and then Princess Copa are basically have to try and fight all the bad dragons and figure out a way to stop everything from going completely asunder. It's just a blast, man. And I will tell you that again, like it's the wrapping and like the coding and the cover and the first few pages make you think this is an all ages well done high fantasy adventure, but it's not, man. It's funny and sexy, very much adult. I mean, they talk about sex, they have sex, like it's very adult. Wild, another book that says nonstop adventure from page 1 to the close of the book. And then ultimately the cherry on top of all this is Sandoval is the one that illustrates it, and I love Tony's work. I think for me, I think he's one of those people that has such a distinct style to his line, and I think if you've seen a Tony Sandoval comic, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, I mean, to describe it, I guess you'd say like he's his characters look long, right? Like stretched out, like they have very skinny bodies and arms. They're not dissimilar actually as I'm thinking about it from like a Tim Burton character, right? Like it's kind of that vibe. He generally is a multimedia artist. I mean, he colors his own stuff. He generally uses watercolors and inks, and he's very precise with his painting, like very precise lines, and he does excellent character work. He really works often in this book. He does too, like in dark and gothic vibes, right? Like his books are often very set at night or in the shadows, but never at the expense of like he's not doing it to take shortcuts in terms of having to render the characters. The characters are rendered fully and in bright colors. It's just great stuff. I love his work. It's ethereal in a lot of ways. Like characters almost look sort of pasty white and ghost-like a lot of the times, which again, my kind of people's, right? I'm pasty white and ghost-like. So so just full-on fan of Tony's work, always have been. And this is just another great addition in the long line of Tony Sandoval books that Magnetic has brought us. So if you want an adult style fantasy adventure, if you're in the mood for that, then this book will please you greatly. So do check out The Dragons of Paris by Magnetic.
Sounds dope. It really does.
It is really great, man.
It does look good. I mean, not I'm
Oh
not
yeah,
surprised
and
considering it's Tony, but yeah, the preview pages look pretty cool.
oh yeah, and the siren is a little vixen, man. She's about it. But again, that's her nature. Like she says, it's my nature. Like it's not even like she says like that's like her whole being is sex. Like she's like that's what I'm here for. So
That's how I get
yeah,
down.
yeah.
Okay. So we got. Okay. So I think we can likely bring this home. Yeah, so I'll. Yeah, because the other things aren't. They could definitely keep. But yeah, the one thing I had laughed because before we get to our in your travels, um, this is another reminder that this episode was brought to you by cheapgraphicnovels.com, where you can find all your hardcover, trade paperback collections, omnibus, absolutes at great discounted prices. Cheapgraphicnovels.com. You can find us on the socials, patreon.com/11o'clockcomics. You can go to 11o'clockcomics.com and check the menu for the 2025 11 O'Clockers. Fill out the Google form. And again, since it is a Google form, you can start it and refer back to it once you put your email address in. So you have you can don't wait till the last minute. Don't try to cram everything in there because even though we're in the middle of December almost, still got a couple weeks left of books to come out. But you know what you've read this year. You can start making that list now, and you've got time to make changes if you need to. I think for tonight's In Your Travels, again, I'm just cursing Vince out left and right tonight because Vince was reading Steve Orlando's 2099 series of minis over the past year or two. I jumped on that train for a bit, and the most recent installment is The End 2099. Written by Steve Orlando, art by Ibraim, Roberson, and colors by Andrew Dalhous. What Orlando's been doing, it's pretty much just been a one long story. So the previous iteration with the different versions of 2099 characters or even modern day Marvel characters just changed for 2099, like Silver Surfer. There was a different Hulk, Nova, for example. And of course, the return of Dracula. And apparently in the previous volume, the previous story, Dracula became a herald of Galactus, but not just Galactus. So the herald's name is now Bloodwielder, but he is the herald for Abyssus, who is a mashup of Galactus and everybody's favorite, Null. So,
Oh Christ!
yeah, I groaned at that, but once I got past that, what made it what I got a kick out of, and you mentioned this earlier this evening. There's a planet that Abyssus devours. It's the planet Iota, and this planet in particular, basically, was a hub, was essential to the galaxy. There were it was connected, or it assisted, or at least assisted. It connected other planets in the galaxy. So when Iota falls, all the other planets are going apeshit. Planet Wakanda, their servers are picking up the slack, but it can't handle the entire planet's data forever. The other planets are shutting down non-essential systems because they have to go analog before their systems crash because of it. Even the Shi'ar are concerned. Oasis X on Earth, which is pretty much Krakoa or Salem Center. That's the while the mutants nanocerbers didn't use iota for processing, the rest of Earth does. So everybody's on high alert. So while all that's going on, the new Silver Surfer makes his way to Mephisto, and lets Mephisto know that if you don't do something, like, you're not going to have any souls, like you're not going to have any company down here, because when Homeboy gets done with the planet, there's nothing left. There's no souls to go anywhere. So Mephisto's like, okay, yeah, I can see this being a problem. So Mephisto faces off against Abyssus, and so he tells Mephisto, summon your warriors, and I'll summon mine. And so Mephisto assembles the champions of 2099. So you've got Miguel O'Hara, you've got Hulk 2099, Daredevil 29, Blade, all the original OG 29 characters that have appeared here, and any new ones that have been created in recent years. So Abyssus is like, okay, that's cool. I'll summon my abyssal warriors, and he's picked them from all sorts of realities and universes, because he has all the universes at his disposal. So you've got Red Hulk, you've got Giant Man, you've got the Claremont Byrne era Cyclops and Marvel Girl, Hellcat, Wolverine from Age of Apocalypse, Deathlock, U.S. Agent, Miles Morales, looks like May Parker, Spider Girl. And so now the heroes have to battle, and all I thought of when they started facing off was Contest of Champions. Like, you Steve Orlando remade
Sure.
Contest of Champions, and it's Miguel is ready to he's trying to rally the troops, and he's telling the other heroes on the other side, fight this, you don't have to fight for him, you can, you're better than this, blah blah blah. But yeah, that's not the Abyssus is keeping his dogs on a leash, so they're pretty much under his control. They're kind of bloodthirsty. So while Spider-Man Miguel O'Hara is giving his little pep talk, trying to prevent this fight from happening, he gets taken out real quick by someone in gold, going by Spider-Man 3099, and that's the end of the issue. But I think the art was pretty good. I'm really impressed with the art. It's there's a lot going on in these panels, on these pages. The colorist really isn't doing like all the heavy lifting like we see in some books, but I'm curious to see how the fight's going to shake out. So I'll be back for the second issue. But yeah, in your travels, if you're looking for something interesting to try, The End, 2099.
So we're getting the 3099, huh?
Yeah, it looks like it, or at least the first character from it. But yeah,
I see. He's got a gold like cyber suit on with one spike, one Wolverine spike on each arm.
yeah. I don't know if that's supposed to be like one of those spikes that you see characters use when they're trying to like hack into some mainframe or something. But yeah, I don't know if it's a claw. I don't know what its purpose is yet. But between the gold and some of the
Looks like a
digital
claw
high
based on
tech.
some of these images I'm seeing.
Okay,
Yeah. Okay,
not sure.
cool.
Not,
Well,
not sure I'm feeling the
there you
glow
go.
with the gold though.
Yeah, well, I'll probably be as into 30.99 as I was.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, in your travels, I've got a short, sweet one for you. It's I think it's like a 20 pager. Do check out Strangers in Paradise. Trigger warning.
Oh
This
yes.
is a new one shot by my boo Terry Moore. It is exactly what it sounds like. It is a Western style one shot, sort of Elseworlds, that features the Strangers in Paradise characters. This was originally included as part of his Kickstarter campaign for his art book, but now it's being released through the direct market. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's a little story featuring Kachu and Francine and David and some of the other characters. Only they're set in, instead of modern Houston, it's set in 19th century American West. So Kachu is the Clint Eastwood of the group. She's the Civil War vet that's a drifter now and a badass with a gun. She shows up to a town just looking in the saloon. Girl just wants to get some rest, some relaxation. Ends up getting into a shootout. This is the way, right? Of course, wins the shootout, but then makes enemies of the spurned brothers and family members of the person she shoots. And she's just looking to find a place to hold up. And someone sends her over to a boarding house, which of course is owned and operated by the lovely Francine, and of course they have instant chemistry and connection with one another, and and hijinks ensue. It's a sweet story. It's very quick. It will mean absolutely nothing to you if you haven't read Strangers in Paradise. If you have read Strangers in Paradise, this is just a nice little reminder, revisit into what's great about the book. And I love westerns, so it was fun to see them drawn in a Western setting. And that's it. It comes and goes. I don't expect we'll see it ever again. It's just a little Terry just scratching an itch, and I love that he does that from time to time. So
I love that. Yeah, that's great.
yeah, a lot of fun.
Awesome. We got another one done. So thank you everybody for listening, putting up with us. As I've said, you could have been listening to anything, but you're listening to us. So for that, I am very thankful for you all. We will be back next week. It's probably, well, we're recording it early, so I should be able to get it to you all earlier than usual next week. But we should have some fun. We're going to probably
You might
bring
be
back a
bringing
game.
back a game that everybody loves, a beloved game.
Yes. And hopefully someone will be playing for the first time. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes next week. And other than that, you know where you can leave comments, send us emails. I'm pretty sure the voicemail line still works. So however you want to reach out to us, please do so. We'd love to hear from you. Let us know what you think. We will talk to you all soon. Take care, everybody. Talk to you later.
Peace. Christmas is coming and the goose is getting fat.
Nice.
That's it for that one.